Okay, so today on the BSS 1250 channel, we have this sack. And inside this sack, we have a little adding machine. Complete with, up in this little pocket up here, it's a crank. Now, as you can see, this adding machine has received some damage here to the paper holder, and that was done during shipping. This wasn't really packed at all, really. This was just set in the box with the sack set on top of it, and you can see where it tried to escape during shipping. That's where this was banging against the case there and punched out. So we'll have to fix that. This is also a bit messed up. I think the case got bent in. You can see where that got bent in. So I think that bent in the whole side of the case, and that's why this is not sitting straight. And it just goes on the side here. Like that. But unfortunately, this machine is stuck. You can clear it out, but you can't enter these numbers. So that part seems to work. And it does clear, and the numbers in the window, which you can't really see. The tripod never cooperates. That might be better. You can see the numbers in the window there. It's kind of sticky. See, it does add in, but unfortunately, total and subtotal keys are stuck. The peak key works though. And that's just the clear out. You see that little thing moving? That little pointer right there? This just clears out the keyboard. So I think what we should do is see if we can get this apart. Move this back a little bit. It's a Swift adding machine, as you can see on the front there. So we can take the handle back off. This little nut here comes off to take that little panel off, and you can see where this side of the panel is right up against the case. So if I push that case out, hopefully that will let this seat normally again. Okay, that's where our ribbon is. Let's take our damaged paper out here. Okay, so that's just a pin, so that's just going to sit in like that. Okay, so that seems to be okay. It looks actually just like this got bent. That might have fixed it. Might not be quite straight. I'll have to play around with that then, probably. Might not be quite straight yet, but it might be okay. So that might have fixed that. Let's see if we can see how the case comes off. It's rolling away. Let's try taking these screws out and see if we can get the... I'll take the bottom off, or I'll take the side off. Take something off. Now, let me look at this for a minute first before I start saying false things. Guys, I've taken off the 4 outer screws. Let's see if we can lift the case off now. Maybe not. It looked like the inner ones were... No, that one's coming up. It looked like the inner ones were going into the... There we go. Going into the mechanism, so I just took off the outer ones. pull the pattern back a little bit. Let's see, what do we... Stuck right in the corner in the front here, looks like. Quite sure what it's stuck on. Put it back down a little bit. There we go. Okay, so it must have been this foot here got stuck in there somehow, I guess. I don't know. Anyway, that's off now. That just pulls that back. So we need to figure out what exactly locks those keys. You can see down here, this looks like it might be a little bit gummy. I'm not sure. This is going to have the same issue as the other machine. Well, some of the other machines where the grease is all dried. Yeah, that seems like pretty sticky grease. So, let's take a look here. See, this tries to move with that key. Let me take a look at this for a minute. It looks like it's a bunch of stuff down in there. Let me take a look at that for a minute and see if I can figure out what locks those keys. Okay, so I've done a little playing around here, and it seems like this lever right here is falling back too far. So I can't push that down now, but if I push that lever up just a little bit, then I can push them down. And that lever is controlled partially by this thing right here. You can see, you can't see that poking. This thing right here. So if I push this back, then again, I can latch that down and drive the machine and it works fine. Now what I just noticed is, I'm not sure if you'll be able to see this or not, but right down in there, right about there, there's a spring that has come off of what looks like this post. So I'm going to put that spring back on that post and see if that helps this mechanism. So I put that spring back on, but it still didn't work right. So I played around with it a little more, and I think what's supposed to happen is you're supposed to give the crank one extra pull with nothing on the keyboard before you try to hit the total button. Because see, if I do this, it might still be a little bit sticky. I'll have to look into that. But now, see, I can't hit total or subtotal. But if I do an extra crank, now I can hit total, and it seems to work. So I definitely think that spring was an issue, but also me not knowing how to use the machine is also an issue. So I'm going to take one more look at why this keyboard gets stuck sometimes, and that's also somehow related to the first issue, because this thing right here, see, this can go in, and then you can push a key down until it comes back out, and that is spring loaded to the other lever, to this lever here. So I think that this is just a bit sticky, because now that this stays up where it's supposed to be, the spring should hold this back. So I think I'm going to just put some oil on that and see if that fixes that issue. Now if you remember on my Largo Marcino Totalia video, I talked about the pegboard, and that's how the keyboard entry is stored. So you can see all across here the rows of pins. Well, this is a board that has a set of 10 pins, or at least 9 pins, for every column that you can enter. So if I enter 0, it's going to push down this last pin here and then shift over to the next position. So you see, if I do that, see where that pin got pushed down? Now it's sticking out the bottom here, and then when I try to drive the machine, this slider is only going to go up so far, hit that pin, and stop. If I hit 1, then it pushes up down the next pin. You can kind of see it down there, maybe. That's the next pin up behind the 0 pin. Now, some machines go all the way up to 9 and have a pin for the 9th one. Some don't, and if you hit a 9, it just pushes down no pins, and the slider just slides up to its maximum extent. So let's see if I drive this here. I can do that without getting my hand in front of the camera. You can see those sliders only go up. See, this one went up to 0 and stopped. That one went up to 1 and stopped. And when it's done, it clears, slides this over and clear it. This little ramp down here is what clears it. As this slides over, that ramp pushes all the pins back up. So it's a pretty simple mechanism, really, as far as mechanical storage. It's pretty interesting, though. I did not squirt any oil into here. I'm not quite sure what the construction is. I think that there's a mechanical detent for each pin, but I'm not 100% sure. It feels like there might be. But I know on some other machines like the Bond Context, this whole pegboard area is just filled with foam, and when you push a pin down, then the foam keeps it held down from popping back up. And you definitely don't want to squirt oil into that one, because that'll basically destroy all the foam. This one, I can't see in there. I don't think it's foam, but I'm not sure, so I'm just going to leave it alone. It doesn't really seem sticky or anything, so I mean, if when you tried to clear it, it would jam here, it wouldn't be able to push the pins back up, then I definitely want to see what's going on in here, that the pins are that sticky, but it seems to be okay, so I'm not going to worry about that. Putting some oil on this mechanism seems to have freed it up okay, so I think I'm just going to finish squirting some oil on some other parts of this machine and clean up the keyboard area. You can see from this angle that there's quite a bit of dust sitting here, so we'll clean that up, and then we'll have to beat the case back into shape, and hopefully we'll be done. Okay, so I think this is just about good now. Maybe. So my paper is not advancing for some reason. Maybe that has to be set. There must be no point. So this wouldn't matter if it was advancing, since it doesn't want to pull in anyway. There we go. So I think we're ready to put this back together then. It's a little bit sticky sometimes, but most of the time it seems to work. So I've bent this back out and I bent the case back out, and that should fit okay now. Pull that off. Hopefully I can get this back on. Actually no, I do have to take the paper out. So let me put that back on and we'll do our final demonstration. Okay, let's do some adding. Okay, not sure if you can see that it's kind of buried back there. Punch the total out in red. Seems to be working. This machine doesn't do subtraction, only addition. Let's try a multiplication. We can do 25, repeat. So if we want to do 25 times 25, we'll enter this 5 times. My paper is not working properly. And then we'll enter 0. I think we will. Oh, maybe we want to repeat. We can't do that. Okay. Then we'll enter, so that was 5 times 25. So now we'll enter 250. repeat, and we'll enter that 2 times. And then that's our answer, 625. Blank one, now we should be able to do a subtotal. 625 and total. 625 and it clears out. Okay, that seems like that should be sufficient. If you did want to try subtraction on here, the only way you could do it is by complements. So for example, say we had 25 and we wanted to subtract 20. The way that you'd have to do that is, and they don't even put the little numbers on, so I have to do this in my head. The complement of 2 is 7, I believe, and the complement of 0 is 9. So what we would want to do is enter all 9s except for a 2 in the, except for a 2 in the second column and a 7 in the second column, and then we're going to a 0 in the last column. So let's see if this is going to work. Not sure how many columns this machine has. So we'll stop there and then we'll do 7, 0 and see what happens. Oops. That's supposed to be 8, 0. Well, it's close. I forgot that you're supposed to add 1 to the last column. So, yeah, okay, so I messed up on that. We'll clear this out and try again. Basically, the way complements work is you want the machine to roll over and carry off the end. So let's try that again. So we had 25. That's 52, not 25. Whatever, it's fine. We'll still subtract 20. So we want to enter all 9s except for this time 8, 0. That time it worked. Now we have 32. We subtracted 20. And we have 1 there because it still carries off the end. I don't think I can enter all the way over, can I? Oh, I can. Yeah, so entering all 9s has the effect of subtracting 1. And that's basically how complements work, is basically you're getting the machine to carry over, and then carry off the end of the machine so you lose that last one. I didn't enter enough digits the first time, so we still have that 1 here. So let's clear it out and try again. We'll do 25, and then we want to subtract 20, so we'll enter all 9s and then 8, 0, and that's to subtract 20. And it does, see, now I have 5. Basically how that works is, we had 20 here, and we added 8 to it, so that's going to add up to 10 in this column, carry over to the next column, but we're adding 9 in all the other columns, so that 1 is going to keep carrying over and over and over and over off the end of the machine, so we lose that 1, and we're left with 0, 0, 0, 0, 5. Some of the machines, they put the complements on the keyboard for you, so like they'll have a big number, and then next to it they'll have a little tiny number. That little tiny number is the complement. So on 9, the little tiny number would be 0. On 8, the little tiny number would be 1. On 7, the little tiny number would be 2. And what you want to do is you enter the complement minus 1. So what I was entering was basically in complement form, that was 0, 0, 0, 0, 0, 0, 1, because you subtract 1 from the complement. So normally it'd be 0, 0, 0, 0, 2, but because you subtract 1, it's 0, 0, 0, 0, 1 in complement form, and then I just put a 0 in because we're not subtracting anything from the last column. And you have to do that because basically we wanted to subtract 0 from the last column, but you can't enter 0 minus 1 in complement form, that'd be negative 1. I guess you could enter, or if you entered 1, that wouldn't work either, I don't think. Basically you want to enter 10 in that column, but you can't do that. So that's why I entered 0 in the last column. I hope that made sense. This machine probably isn't intended to do subtraction since they didn't put the complements on the keys, but yeah. I think that works. This machine is just about the right size for tech support hog. Unfortunately, I don't think she can reach the handle though. So hope you enjoyed this video, and thank you for watching.